What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to the CTE Podcast. I'm your host, Andres. The CTE Podcast is brought to you by Cafe Tres Estrellas. Cafe Tres Estrellas is a small batch craft coffee roaster that specializes in fair trade organic coffee. If you need a good cup of coffee, visit them at cafetresestrellas.com. Follow them on Facebook at Cafe Tres Estrellas. And now, let's get on with the show. This is episode 6 of the podcast, and the question came in via Facebook. Sylvia asked for tips for coping with anxiety, and she commented on a Facebook post where I asked if you could go all in and change one thing about yourself, what would that be? And she wants tips on coping with anxiety. You can submit your questions on Facebook to @the CTE Podcast if you want something answered. So anxiety is a funny thing. Your mind has you thinking about stuff and bad things that might happen long before you do anything, right? So you're already worried about it before you even do it. You're worried, you're nauseous, you're uneasy about an event and how bad it's going to go and how much damage you'll need to fix. In extreme cases, people can become paralyzed and end up not making a decision at all. One thing you can do to cope with this state or this feeling of anxiety is to state your feelings about what's happening and ask yourself 2 questions. The first is, what's the worst thing that can happen? And the second is, how do I cope if that happens? After you state and if you ask yourself those questions and answer them, all these things you're thinking about and the decision you have to make becomes more clear, right? So your mind's like, I guess if I have any Trekkies out there, your mind is like the holodeck on Star Trek: The Next Generation, right? So you go in the holodeck and you tell it what you want it to do, and it does, it's like virtual reality, right? So anything can happen in there. But once it's out in the open and on paper, only what is real will be put on paper, right? So all the scenarios that can never happen, you're going to say them and you're going to say, well, now that I'm thinking about it or I hear it, right, that can never happen, right? So only the real stuff gets down on paper, right? So you're able to throw out all the least probable scenarios and come to the truth of the matter, right? And more often than not, it's not as bad as you originally thought. Mindfulness is another great way to help cope with anxiety. It's meditating without the religious or spiritual component. As little as 10 minutes a day can clear your mind. The best thing is that there are a number of apps or podcasts that can help you lead you through a session. So you can download an app, right? You can set up reminders on when to do it. Anywhere you are, you can start a session, right? And there are podcasts that you can follow that do the same thing. So it can be done anywhere, right? You don't have to have it helps to have a special place, but if you don't have that much time in your schedule, you can do this anywhere because of the ability to have this stuff on your cell phone, on your smartphone. So whatever method you choose, remember that anxiety is your mind trying to talk you out of your decision. Improving your self-confidence is the key to beating anxiety. Ultimately, you want to find the root of the anxiety. What is the underlying cause, right? It might not even be related to what's happening when your anxiety hits. Most of the time, people want to treat the symptom of the problem and not the cause. But if you're listening to this podcast, treating the cause is what you're all about. So thanks for tuning into the podcast. That's the episode for this week. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. If you have anything you want to comment on and directly to me about what I've talked about, or you want more information on today's sponsor, you can email me at andres.thectepodcast@gmail.com. So send all your questions there if you don't want them in the comment section, if you want them directly to me. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll talk to you next time.